Hello everyone, my name is GizmoCrusher17 and I am here with episode 2. This will be the ongoing tutorial after the explanation of this here 7-segment display. So last episode, episode 1, we went over the explanation of the 7-segment display. Today we'll go over the tutorial, and it's a pretty big one. It's not a very small tutorial. Alright, and now without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our 7-segment display tutorial. Now this is a very compact design. If you missed the video that explains how this machine works, how each component was constructed, and how they communicate with each other, then please revisit that last episode. It is a definite watch. So today we've split this episode into 3 different parts. There's the decoder and the ROM, then there's the reset module and the screen, and last but not least, the program or coding for this computer. So those are the 3 distinct parts. These two, and this. So let's get going with it. To start off, we're going to start off with our decoder and our ROM. Now that's going to be the easiest part. If you guys are not aware on how a binary interfaces with this display, I will definitely leave a picture on the bottom left-hand corner. It will be a picture of the previous binary values that are displayed in torch formation. So to explain each torch formation like this, where this output is inverted twice, that is a 1, and each torch formation where the signal goes straight through, that is a 0. So now that that's out of the way, let's get going on this tutorial. So to start off, place a single block and place 3 blocks next to it, just like this. And we're going to make a wave pattern with these blocks, or zigzag. And we need to count up 8 individual segments that are 1 block higher than the rest. I get the climax of this block zigzag. I think that was the best way that I could, on the fly, explain that. Now we're going to count those 8 times, or 10 times, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then right here you can go ahead and break that block and place a torch right, or not a torch, but a lever right here. And place in those 3 blocks next to each block, just like this. Okay, next thing we're going to do is place in the busing for selecting each individual slice. And that's going to be done as such. We're going to do a pattern of repeaters and redstone dust. Now the trick with that is the bus lane goes straight down the entire column just like this. And so we're going to alternate with redstone dust and repeaters. But we're also going to do this on the x-axis right here. So this is the y-axis, this is the x-axis. And this is where we alternate with redstone dust and repeaters as well. It will be done just like this. Now, the purpose of this will be to speed up the process of selecting. Instead of having a bunch of repeaters all the way down so that there's no smearing, we are just using this concept to allow it to travel a lot faster. Alright, then we're going to go ahead and place torches on top of every single block that has an empty surface. The next thing we're going to do is place blocks on top of each of these torches. Alright, so at the opposite end of these levers, at the very end here, we're going to go ahead and place just a bunch of torches like this on the very last segment. Now this is the number 0, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a sign here to title that as 0. Okay, and incrementing from there by 1 all the way to where the levers are, just label these to their appropriate numbers. So all the way from 0 to 9. Now this will help you remember which one you're on at a certain time. That way if you do leave this half finished, you can come back and be able to see which number you're on and finish off without messing anything up. Alright, so like as it was explained in the previous episode, binary is read from the right to the left. So we read binary like as such: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now that is the entire decoding of the binary, or that is the entire process of the decoder here. And we read that from right to left. So 6 will be 0, 1, 1, 0, and that's how it's read. So with that in mind, let's go over here and now place 1, which is going to be this rightmost block here. And that 1 is a sideways torch. The 0s are the upright torches, just like that. And then go ahead and invert the signal with another torch. And on top of each of these, go ahead and place another set of blocks on top of each torch, just like that. Now this is 2, so we're going to go ahead and place a torch in the seconds place, then place 0s in areas that we don't have a 1, because that's kind of self-explanatory. And then place blocks on top of those torches. Then 3 is a combination of 2 and 1, and then so it's 1, 1, 0, 0. Alrighty, so I finished up my part of the decoder. Now it's time for the selection. So I guess to compare this to a certain redstone contraption, this decoder is very similar to what's called a redcoder. It's a redstone design. I do believe it was originated by Mumbo Jumbo, but he might have gotten the idea or the contraption from someone else. I'm not entirely sure, and I think the information for that is too deep in his years and years of being a YouTuber to be able to do the research properly. But it is called a redcoder, and the way that it works is it uses redstone signal strength as a way of selecting a single output. And it's very interesting, but this works the same way, except it works with binary instead. So instead of using signal strength, we're using a set of 4-bit binary. And this cherry on top is what's going to allow us to actually select things. So what we're going to need to do next is place obsidian blocks between each of these groups right here. Going all the way back and stopping right here. You're not going to put an obsidian block at the end. Next, we're going to go ahead and place a piston facing into that obsidian block. And continue doing that all the way down. It doesn't matter which way they're facing, as long as they're facing into an obsidian block and they're within this form factor. At the very end over here, I'm going to go ahead and place this piston facing right back into that obsidian block. And now on top of each piston, go ahead and place a redstone torch. These torches are your indicators. These are what will select the ROM input. And then go ahead and place redstone dust on top of the blocks adjacent to the pistons. Now you may be questioning why I'm using repeaters here instead of just getting a redstone torch, slapping it onto the block below below the piston. And let's go ahead and explain the reason why that wouldn't work. Well, for one, if there's a selection on any of these blocks right here, so any of these binary values, this Redstone repeater won't understand because it's not receiving power. In fact, in the state it's in right now, it's only receiving power from one spot instead of all four. We need each and every torch to be able to pull a signal from all four spaces, all 4 bits, in order to get an accurate assumption. And that is exactly what's happening right here. So now that you have that in place, you can go ahead and test out your decoder. If you go ahead and select the binary value 6, so 0, 1, 1, 0, you should see that the 6th one, so the 3rd from the front, or the 4th from the front, turns on. As you can see, there's 0, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you have a sign on your decoder, you'll see that it does indeed select 6. Alright? Okay, so now it's time for the next part of our tutorial. And that is going to be the ROM. The ROM is going to be the easiest part of this section. So, go ahead and place pistons on top of each of these redstone dust next or adjacent to these redstone torches going all the way back. This one will extend, do not worry about that. And you're going to need another block type, and that's going to be redstone blocks and glass. What we're going to do next is place redstone block here, glass here, redstone block, glass, and redstone block. And that will be the completion of a ROM cell. So this will be the number 0, and we can program this cell as much as we want. And go ahead and do that with all the rest. Now what we're going to do next is place at the very end where this silo is 1 block higher than the rest, place 2 wool blocks, break the one closest to the redstone block, go under and place a piston, and that's going to be a piston facing downwards. And then every other block facing downwards as well is going to be a piston facing towards the redstone block. Now, as you might be able to tell, this piston, or these sets of pistons, will pass this cell back and forth, enabling and disabling each bit of memory. Alright, so now on the right hand side, so the side where the torches and pistons are on, go ahead and place a block, 1 block below each piston, diagonal, and place those blocks all the way back, leaving no spaces between. And you can break these temporary blocks. At the very bottom here, go ahead and place a redstone glass line above each of these torches, all the way down, just like this. Okay? And do the same on this side. So there'll be a glass on each side all the way down. The next thing to do is grab redstone dust and place that redstone dust on all of the glass blocks going all the way down here. I know this might be a little bit complex to understand, but go ahead and place a row of blocks just like this glass on the same level as the lowest point of these cells where the redstone block is, just like this. And when you're finished, there should be 4 rows of blocks on the left-hand side and 3 rows of blocks on the right-hand side. And this is obviously the reset line for these pistons. And then as you placed the redstone dust on this glass, go ahead and place redstone dust on these blocks. Again, do not worry about signal strength, that will all be taken care of when this machine is completed. And that is it for part 1. Alright, so now let's go into part 2. Part 2 is going to go over the reset system. Now, as you probably notice, if you try to select anything, let's say that the binary value 2, you're going to see that there are 2 ROM cells instead of 1, which will obviously mess up anything that comes out of this computer. So let's fix that real quick and add a reset system. The reset system is very, very simple. The way that it works is it takes an update from these pistons and sends them up through a observer and hopper line all the way to the top and powers this redstone dust right here, which powers all these pistons. Now, when I told you that there was no worry for any repeaters for this system, is because for one, there really isn't a need, and for two, if you do add repeaters, well, for one, the areas where there will be observers, just like this, there won't be any input. And if you try to put a repeater, say right here, then there'll be a piston missing out on an input. So it's the best if you just leave it as such. In part 1, when I told you to break the blocks that were in between the pistons, I made a mistake. Go ahead and place those blocks right back, because those blocks are going to be powered by observers. Again. Also, I forgot to mention, you will be needing hoppers, observers, and a block of your choice for this part of the system. Alright, so to start off, go ahead and place an observer facing backwards towards the back of the machine, between each piston going all the way back, and skipping this one right here. Then go ahead and place an observer here, facing out from each observer, just like such. Then out of the face of each observer, place a block of your choice. Now this block has to be a solid block, so it cannot be glass, it cannot be glowstone, it cannot be anything of that sort. It has to be a solid block. So wool, dirt, stone, whatever you want to build with, and you can build with those objects. Alright, now on this side right here, go ahead and place hoppers between each of these solid blocks. And now we're going to start a repeating pattern. From each hopper, place a pattern of observers facing up into a hopper. Observer, hopper, observer, hopper, observer, hopper. And the last block should be an observer. And facing towards the front of this display, place another observer right there. Then facing into this block right here, place another observer facing out of that observer. And there you go, you have your first reset done and dusted. Now what you have to do is finish up the rest of these towers. Now everywhere where you see a hopper, there has to be an observer facing out from it. That should be the easiest way of describing how the rest of this computer should be completed. We are now done with the first part of part 2. Now let's start with the display. The display is arguably my favorite part of this tutorial. I absolutely love building this display. It's actually so much fun. So the objects you're going to need are going to be glass, redstone repeaters, redstone torches, redstone dust, white wool or your block of choice, an immovable object, so obsidian, or prime obsidian, or anything that you would like to use. Piston, and you don't really need levers, but I have them for testing purposes. And you're also clearly going to need redstone lamps for the actual display part. The first thing we're going to start with is placing a piston at this bottom rightmost line of redstone, facing into an obsidian block right next to this redstone block. Now, on top of this piston, go ahead and place a block. Place a redstone torch on the side of this block right here. And so that because of the way I selected it, it's going to turn off, but I'm going to go ahead and actually reset the system here by powering that block right there. That should reset it. So now it should be on. There we go. Just to stifle the confusion. Okay, so now go ahead and place a redstone torch on top of the block that's above this redstone torch right here, and then place a block next to it with a redstone repeater facing out from it, a block formation like such with redstone dust right here, and redstone lamps just like this. That is the first segment. The second segment and the third segment are very similar to each other, not to this, but to each other. The way that they are done is place a block, a temporary block, above this piston here, and then go ahead and break it, and let that face into an obsidian block, and then skip a block above this repeater, place a piston facing into an obsidian block, and then place 2 redstone lamps, a block of your choice next to this obsidian, then place a torch here and a torch here, and that redstone lamp, or that pair of them, should stay off. Go ahead and repeat that exact same design up here. So piston facing into a obsidian block, 2 redstone lamps with a block next to the obsidian, a torch right here and a torch right here, and that is it for the entire right side of our display. This side is a little bit more complex, a little itty bitty bit. Go ahead and place a repeater right there with a block right here and a block right here with a piston facing up into an obsidian block, a block next to that obsidian block, a torch facing into that block, and a torch underneath the block that this piston is on. And now when you place your glowstone lamps, those lamps should be completely off. So I'm going to go ahead and stand still so you can see what has been done, and then continue on. So this part right here, you need to place a block right here with a piston facing up into an obsidian block with a redstone torch on the side of it and the inside of the display right here. Go ahead and place a block in the middle of this display with a redstone lamp on top, and then place a block above this redstone dust with a repeater on top of it, and then redstone dust on top of a glass block, and then a block above that torch. And it should look like this. That was a complete stutter. Now, disclaimer, if you do build it this way, you will have this standby mode that this display automatically has. I call it a standby, but I also call it an error code, because if an incorrect value is inputted into the binary input, it will give out this dash. But if you do not want this dash, if you want a complete blank slate, go ahead and break that redstone dust and place a torch right here instead on the side of this block, and that will solve your problem. I do like having it though, because I like to see if there's an error. If it's not just, redstone dust can't reach the display or something. I like to be able to see this. So it's a little, it's cosmetic, but I enjoy it, and it's free of charge. And this way it's a little bit faster too on the delay, because you're saving a tick by not putting redstone torch right there. Now go ahead and repeat that same process down there, where you place a solid block and a redstone lamp. Place 2 redstone lamps right here to complete the 7-segment display, and repeat this pattern over here. So place a temporary block with a piston facing up into an obsidian block, and then a block away from it, do the same thing. A block on the side of the obsidian block, redstone torches on the side of the pistons, and we are almost done. Next, we're going to go ahead and place a glass block here and a glass block here, a solid block here with a repeater facing into these redstone lamps, a solid block here, and the redstone dust on top of each block, just like that. And that is it for part 2. Alrighty, so to make sure that this display works properly, let's make sure that it always displays 0 no matter what input we give, unless it's not programmed. So let's go ahead and input the number 7 because it is programmed, and it should output 0. Yes, because there's nothing in that ROM address. So let's go ahead and unselect it, and it should go back to a dash indeed. Now let's go ahead and select 9. There shouldn't be anything in that address either. Well, I guess there kind of is because there's this thing going on here, which there needs to not be, I think. Oh, right, that's right. This needs to be a repeater with a redstone dust on the end of it, and there we go, we have a 9. The 9 is the easiest one to do. Just push that repeater back 1, and there's 9. But let's actually go to 8. 8 should be a 0. And there it is. And then go ahead and clear that out. Nice and easy, right? So if your reset system is working properly, then this will work. If your display is working properly, then this will work. If not, then go ahead and backtrack to the rest of the tutorial, either part 1 or part 2, and try to rebuild what you have so far. The most common mistake is usually in this area. This area right here is arguably the most complex part. It's where the right or the left side starts to meld with the display to display these middle segments, and it's a bit on the difficult side. So if you miss a torch, and this is commonly the torch that is missing, that torch right there, and this repeater is a mistake that I always make clearly because I just made that mistake. Go ahead and place a repeater on top of this glass block, redstone dust facing into this torch instead of vice versa, which it was before. Alright, part 3, and that's going to be the programming part of our ROM. That is the easiest part. We already have 9, and we're going to go from the front back because we don't have to worry about signal strength this way. So we already have 9. Let's go ahead and go to 8. Now 8 is going to be the easiest, the absolute easiest. Let's go ahead and do it. I do believe that the one you turn into a repeater will be this one right here that's already active, and that should be an 8. Yes, indeed. Alright, disable 8 and go 1, 1, 1, 0, and that will bring up a 0, but we're going to go ahead and change that. So this line right here, top left segment, needs to be a repeater. Bottom, or actually, yes. So middle is actually going to be a repeater, and bottom is going to be a repeater, just like that. And that should, oh, actually the bottom is the wrong one. That's 3. Sorry, this, oh yeah, that's right. So this one over here needs to be a repeater. And I always mistake in the middle segment. The middle segment just kills me every single time. The middle segment always has to be powered because of the inversion that's happening within the display circuit itself. This torch right here is the culprit. So again, if you turn that redstone dust into a torch, you're going to do the complete opposite of what I place on this line right here. It's the one right above the glass right there. So now we have 7, and I'm going to go a little bit fancy and add that little hook on the end, just like that. Yeah, be a little bit fancy there. Alright, now let's go to 6, so 1, 0, 0, 1, or 0, 1, 1, 0. 6 is going to be easy too, so what we're going to do is unpower this line right here above the glass, and then unpower the segment right here, which is on the right hand side, the first line from the top, just like that, and we have 6. 5 is going to be 1, 0, 1, 0. 5 is going to be almost the same way as a 6, where we have this one disabled, and we're going to have the middle enabled. So where is the middle? Turn that off. Okay, and then we need this bottom left segment needs to be turned off, which is the glass line on the left hand side. Go ahead and turn that into a repeater as well. And there we go, we have 5. 4, which is 0, 0, 1, 0. Middle segment needs to be enabled. Go ahead and turn that into a repeater. Alright, now we need the top segment to turn off, which is the very top on the left-hand side. Turn that into a repeater. We need this segment and this segment to turn off next. That one's easy because it's literally the glass line on the left-hand side right here. The bottom segment is on the right-hand side on the glass line. And there we go, we have 4. Now we already accidentally got 3, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways. 3, we need to activate the middle segment. We need to keep the bottom segment active. Let's go ahead and disable this glass line right here. Okay, and disable this middle line right here. Now that should be 3. Yes. 2, which is 0, 1, 0, 0. It's going to be the complete inverse of 5. So this segment needs to be turned off. Let's do that here. Alright, now we need the middle segment to turn on, which is easy enough. And let's go to the right hand side and turn off this line above the glass, which hasn't been touched until now. And there we go, we have 2. Next is 1. Well, not the easiest. I think 9 is the easiest. It's close to being the easiest one we have. We need to disable. We need to disable all of these lanterns right here, and that's easy enough. Disable the right-hand side. Disable everything on the left-hand side except for the middle segment. So disable this, and disable that. And we have ourselves a 1. There we go. And then 0 should pop up once I disable 1. Just like that, we have a working display. That is it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, then please leave a like. And if you really enjoyed it and you want to see more of my content, then be sure to subscribe. I promise you that there are some videos in Q that will be worth to watch. I have actually several videos on Q that will catch attention. But if you want to be one of the first ones to see them, then please subscribe and ring that bell. But anyways, guys, my name was GizmoCrusher17, and I'll see you next time.